start recording if everyone is okay with that. And yes, so hello, good afternoon. Nice to hear you all. And we have today 4 speakers. They are Paloma Chen, Cheng Chen Li, Jin Chi Jiao, and Juan Li. The latter is not going to be present today. However, we have a nice video that she has sent it, and we will put it in order that you can see it. So, if you want to start, I don't know if anyone wants to be first or not, but we could, I don't know, start with Paloma Chen, for example. She's a freelancer journalist with a notable background in several communication and agencies. She has her own project. I don't know if I am going to spell it correctly. No, please correct me. Tusanash.
Tusanaje.
Tusanaje, yes, is an intercultural platform for Chinese descendants in Latin America and China. So we are here to talk about gender equality and your own experience at work. So please, whenever you want, start.
Thank you, Paula, Judith, and everyone from the ESAD Students Chinese Association. I have been invited and I feel very honored to present briefly my career and what I have been doing so far. As Paula said, I'm Spanish from Chinese family and I'm a journalist. There were many reasons why I studied journalism and why I started this career. The main one is that my passion is reading and writing, and is what I've always liked doing the most. When I was a teenager, I thought there was nothing I was good at apart from writing. So I studied journalism because, after all, I wanted to make a living out of that, of writing. At first, I thought I could make a living out of writing anything, although I have always liked writing poetry and prose, but I wanted something, like more practical than studying philology or something like that. But after many years of writing, I have realized that obviously I can't just write, anything or everything, because I have written, for example, for advertising too, and I didn't quite like that. Or I have written a lot of journalistic things that I didn't really like them until I find out what are the topics or what are the things that I'm really, really interested in that. But journalism is a very open career. You can specialize in a lot of different things, and it's a career where you study sociology, law, history, political science, and a lot of other things. So I found this career attractive for these reasons. And also, when I was a kid, I have always been very, very shy, very quiet. I didn't like to express myself. I didn't want to communicate with other people. And I would honestly say that I was like that until I entered university. And university gave me a real hard time. I mean, they had me in the street with a tape recorder asking questions to strangers, or practicing, like live shows like a real journalist, and had to stand in front of the camera. And that actually made me lose a lot of fear of speaking in public. Another reason was that I didn't want to be in my parents' restaurant all my life. And because my family is Chinese, but I'm Spanish, I grew up in a really, really small town. There were like a lot of people that tell me things about being different, about being Chinese, and I didn't feel, I didn't like, feeling different. That has changed a lot. Now I'm very proud of my roots. I'm very proud of my family, of everything I have experienced. But during all this time, I had a lot of identity crisis. But as time went by and I reflected, thanks to a lot, of reading, of people I've met, social media, my family, I realized that there was something, that I have left behind. So I went to China on my third year of bachelor's degree, and there I started to think that I wanted to talk about representations. I wanted to talk about the Chinese community, about what it means to be Chinese, a Chinese person in Spain, because I always saw the media and I didn't see myself, represented at all. I'm going to start sharing the screen because I prepared some things. I don't know if I can do it. Okay, yeah, share the screen. Okay, no, it seems I cannot do it. Can someone allow me to share the screen?
Yes, I'm going to.
Yeah, sorry for not saying this before. Presentation. Okay, so can you see it now? Like,
yes, perfect.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to put some pictures here. That was when my year that I spent in China from 2017 to 2018. I really like to talk about this period because for me, someone that grew up in a Chinese family but in Spain, for me was really, really important, to go to China. And there, that year was very important for me because I started to collaborate with different projects. And there I met Rodrigo Campos, which is the initial founder of the wonderful project of Tusanaje. But what is Tusanaje exactly? And this is the address. A multidisciplinary initiative on the culture of the Chinese diaspora and Chinese descendants around the world. It's a website, it's a platform, it's also an association, and we organize a lot of things. It's about art, literature, academic works, and its objective it seeks to raise the visibility and value of Chinese descendants in their social and cultural environment, as well as to promote a space for interaction from different parts of the world. So we focus actually in Spanish-speaking countries, but we have different collaborators and people from all over the world. We also have people in United States, also in some countries, like Indonesia or Malaysia. We have some collaborators and friends there, but this project was founded in Peru, and the word Tusanaje, it's because of the word Tusan, which in Peru they call Tusanes to the Peruvian people from Chinese roots, basically. So yeah, in my work on Tusanaje, for example, I spoke about the Chinese community in Spain at some Chinese universities. We got in touch with the Cervantes Institute to screen a documentary about the Chinese community in Spain. You can see some pictures here. And at the same time, during my year in China, I wrote a lot about my experiences in China and reflected a lot. So the year I came back from China to Spain, I started more my work as activist, as cultural manager, as communicator, as part of Tusanaje, but also as part of organizations like the Red de Diaspora China, the Chinese Diaspora Network. So for example, with them, we organized a really, really beautiful event that was in 2019. It was in Madrid, in a place called Matadero, Madrid. And there we organized really, really interesting events. For example, we discussed identity, we discussed feminism, LGTB, representation in media, and everything. And yeah, for me it was beautiful because, as I told you earlier, it's like I grew up in a really small place where there were no more Chinese or Spanish Chinese people. So for me, all these activities are really, really special. Since then, I have been very interested in, as a journalist, giving visibility to all these kinds of intercultural projects. This is an interview, for example, that I published in El Salto about a young director from Barcelona of Chinese origin who was nominated for a Goya Award. And also I have been involved in different kinds of projects and campaigns. For example, last year when everything about the coronavirus started, there were a lot of discrimination, racism towards ethnically Asian people. So we participated in the I Am Not a Virus campaign, and yeah, we spread it in social media. On top of all of that, one of my main projects is Crecer en un Chino, which is you can translate it like growing up in a Chinese, selling like un chino, a Chinese, it's like a Chinese restaurant or a Chinese shop, you know. And it's basically a website where I interview different Spanish young people from Chinese origins or Chinese people that migrated at a very early age. And we discuss things about cultural, conflicts with their parents, but also with the Spanish society, identity, language, racism, and all these kind of things. Then on, my obsession has always been to reflect the diversity that exists in Spain in the media. So I have been able to write for La Vanguardia, for El Salto, as I have said, or for El País, for example. And at the same time, I have collaborated and still collaborated with many associations and in many events. And to give some examples, in the dissemination and communication of events like the Permanent People's Tribunal, or last month the forum, the European Social Forum in Lisbon. And as a speaker, I have participated in several talks related to migration journalism. Also, and regarding my career as a poet and writer, I won a poetry prize. And to the prize, I have been able to read my poems in many different places. About poetry, for me, poetry is something very natural. I have read, as I told you before, like a lot of prose, a lot of poetry, and it seems to me to be another language that has always interested me. Yeah, and in my work, both an anti-racist and feminist point of view are really important, and I really believe in an intersectional perspective, taking into account all the different oppressions that we suffer, all the different perspectives. So yeah, I have to tell you that I feel really grateful for this great space, because I think it's relevant for young women to have someone to feel they can refer to, they can feel reflected on. So really thank you. And yeah, I don't know, like maybe art and culture and can be also a sphere, a field also where we can discuss all these things, right? Like inequalities, racism, empowerment of women, and fight injustices. So yeah, that will be, and thank you.
Thank you, Paloma, for your words, and they were really insightful. And I think, and I believe that too, I think that it's necessary to talk about it and to have a space for it. So if anyone in the conference want to like jump in and make some questions whenever they want, they are free now, or at the end of the conference. So thank you again for your words, and just let's continue with the next speaker, which will be Cheng Li. She is the CEO of East to West. She's a brand new international expansion strategist and expert in cross-cultural business solutions, with more than 10 years being a China-Europe business broker and institutional relation specialist. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much again for the invitation of giving, a talk, sharing my experience as a female business person. And especially given that I'm Chinese, and then I came to Spain when I was 18 years old, to do my to finish my university. So I have lived half of my, my time in China, and then the rest in Europe, half and half. So how should I say that about my professional experience is that I came to Spain as an exchange student. When I was 18 years old, I was in the third year in the university. I studied in La Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona in the translation and interpretation department. And by then I was studying, well, translation, culture, mediation. And my dream was to be a diplomat, okay? And I would like to work in UN or, you know, institutions that I can, you know, be an instrument to communicate between different languages. So I was very passionate about language learning and everything. I was fascinated about the Spanish, Catalan, and other culture and other language and cultures when I was very little. But then, you know, life is a box full of, you know, surprise. Because when I finished my study, I applied. Okay, by then it was the start, the crisis, 2008 crisis started when I finished my university. So it was very, very tough to find a job in what I was studying. Most of my colleagues and classmates even went to study in other countries, go to Asia countries and to study, or even Germany, you know, UK, because that was a very tough time to find a job. So I was very lucky because I'm Chinese, I'm able to communicate in different languages. So I started to work in a consulting company. And that company is doing brand, you know, marketing plans and helping European brands to establish in Asian countries, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, and even other Asian countries. I started my, you know, professional career in marketing without even thinking of it. Because I was doing this, that was the only job that I could find, which is not a bad job, but that was not my dream. But surprisingly, I was doing extremely good. I found that I have talent in you know, in marketing, in how to, maybe because also of my preparation of translation. And well, translation is not only about language, it's much more. It's about culture mediation, it's about, you know, culture, and it's very rich. So I could find a way to help, you know, marketing European premium brands in Chinese context. I help several brands with their naming, branding, go-to-market strategy, even legal affairs. You know, and in the process, I learned a lot. So I started working for brands as a brand consultant and marketing specialist. While my dream was to be a diplomat, and I didn't give up my dream. So after, I think, 4 years, when I was working in this company, I wanted to apply a master in international relations in IE University in Madrid. So life gave me another surprise 4 years later, because when I was doing the interview with the, you know, with the admission office, they said, oh, you have such an interesting background and working experience. Why don't you apply our MBA? And we have an Asian national, how do you say, scholarship for women like you. You are young, you are Chinese, and you are entrepreneurial. So maybe you can apply our, you know, scholarship. So in the morning, I was still having this mind of applying a Master of International Relationship, pursuing my dream as a diplomat. In the afternoon, when I come back home, I said, okay, let me try the MBA. So I started my MBA when I was 20, almost, I was 24, when I started my MBA in IE in 2011. So again, when I was doing the MBA, IE Business School is very good at you know, entrepreneurship, venture lab. They help you to build up your business idea and everything. So I joined the venture lab just for fun. So I went into this incubator and this, business competition when I was 24 years old, and I started my first company there. And in 3 months, while I was doing the MBA, I start to, have clients. Again, Spanish brands who want to go to Chinese market, and then I started my own company for the first time, and that was not East to West, where I am, founder and the CEO right now. That was Itinere East to West. Itinere is a Latin word for, itinerario, routes, road, and I want to provide a bridge and the road between East and West. So that's still like my passion, but the way of, creating this bridge or this road, instead of being a diplomat in international relationships, I was doing business, helping business people from different cultural backgrounds to understand each other and forming alliance and business relationships. So I was extremely lucky, and I think I got some talent in business. So out of all the more than 150 startups in the venture lab, I was a semi-finalist. So I ended up being top 10, startup, out of all the projects in that promotion. And I got a lot of, attention from investors and even, business people. I went to study in Israel as a reward. So that was my first trip in Israel. And that visit in this startup nation opened up my horizon completely, because I never thought a country that is so small, so complicated, in such a difficult region, can make so much innovation, so many startups, and they were working so hard and so many innovation. So back then, I quitted my job I got a very good salary by then. I quit my job. I said, okay, I'm jumping into this pool of being an entrepreneur. So I fully started my journey as an entrepreneur when I was 24, 25 years old, when I came back from Israel. So make the story short, after that, I was working so hard for 6 years, just working to raise my company. It's like being a mother raising the children. And you can imagine that was still a post last crisis. It was hard. So, and I don't have a lot of experience of being a manager, being a team leader, being a young Chinese female, working in a country like Spain, bring a startup. That's totally different from being an employee in a company where you get your salary every month, where you have accountant that you can say, that's my bills, that's, of my trip. They cover all the stuff. I was the one who has to cover everything from scratch. And when you are very young and you're a foreigner, you're female and you're Chinese, in the Western context, for the first time, nobody taught me how to be a businesswoman. I really learned in a hard way. So, but I'm very proud that I've done the whole thing when I was very young. So I encourage all of you, think, and if you have some dream, do it when you are young. Because by then, I was so young and I went to ask for investment. I was dealing with business leaders. I was trying to sell my projects. I have to face all the conflict with my employees. And I learned in a very, very hard way, I would say, but I made it through. So but if I have to do it from scratch now, I would do much better. But that was very nice. I got a lot of support from people. Why I went to ESADE? So that's thanks very much to Mary, who is today in the present. So the story is very funny because my company is very close to ESADE. Okay, when I was an entrepreneur. So I recruited some ESADE student as my intern. So many times I got this, context with Mary because she helped me a lot, selecting good students. And I gave internship and even job positions to some of the, students, some Chinese, some Korean, depends. And so I started to teach in some business schools, and I thought, okay, now I'm 30 years old. I have already done 6 years full-time entrepreneur. Maybe I want to go back to school. So I talked with Mary. I said, would you please help me to see if I got a chance to apply for the PhD in ESADE? So that's how I secretly prepared my return to school when I was 30 years old. So I prepared the GMAT, GRE, all the, these entry exams secretly without anyone knowing it. Now I can see I did it secretly. I got all the exam results. I got the application. I got in ESADE. So I thought at the beginning I could combine 2 things at the same time. My business and PhD full-time at the same time. I thought I was a superwoman. I could do it. But after 2 months in ESADE, I can tell it's impossible, and you guys can tell me, right? So because it's a very good school. You get very competitive environment, and you get so much talented people. So I got to talk to people again. Maybe it was Mary again, and I said, what can I do now? Can I do the both thing at the same time? Am I this superwoman? So I remember a Jewish professor in ESADE, Simon Dolan. Now he's retired, and I thank him from deep of my heart because he changed my life. He was a professor in ESADE. He told me that in life you have to choose. You cannot have everything. So he told me that now you are 30, you have a beautiful life, but doing a PhD, you can do it just once. You will not do it forever. And I'm telling you, it's better that you can always go back to your business, but choose this time and focus on the PhD and do research. You cannot do it halfway. So that's why I didn't close my company, but I kind of, stopped my company in a very hard way. I paid a high price for that at the age of 30, and I dedicated myself fully to do the PhD in ESADE. Okay, so many things happened afterwards. Now I'm back to business after 4 years. Now I'm 34. But I just want to tell you guys that now I'm a mom to be. I have I'm pregnant with a baby.
Marta, que está en la asociación de Equal.
Sorry, Celine.
Okay, so maybe I'm passing time. Am I okay with the time?
No, you can go. Yes.
Okay, so I just want to tell you that because I see most of the attendance is female, and I want to say that it's not very easy giving all this Chinese female business leader or not, or professional. In this context, it's not very easy, and especially if you want to be a mother, having a family, to have this work and life balance, it's not very easy. But when you are very young and you have dreams, you should you should follow your heart and do the things as when you can. And later on, you will have a lot of, I wouldn't say constraints, but you will have like more concerns. But do it when you are very young. and don't be afraid. Like the sky won't fall down because you are brave and want to do things. And so now I'm back in business. I'm still business broker between East and West. I'm having big clients, and I'm doing very interesting projects between China and Spain, but well, China, Spain, and Latin America. But I would say that I'm doing much better than the first time when I was 24 years old. But now you can tell that with age and with family, with responsibilities, you have a bit less choice or more concern when you have to make this huge decision. When I was 30 years old, back to school and stopped my company, make a big pause for several years. So if you can feel free to ask me any question. Okay, so I just stop here.
Okay, thank you, Cheng Li.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a really beautiful story, and I think that it is true that we have to pursue our dreams while we are young. But I do agree, and I would like to make a comment that you can also pursue your dreams while you are not as that young. You have more responsibilities, but I think that you have to keep in mind what your dreams is, and if you want to get them, you have to take into account your responsibilities too. But yes, we can.
Yeah, you can always do it.
Yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
It was super interesting. They are asking if it is possible to have the contact of your speakers, like from Paloma Chen, Cheng Li, and Jin Xiao, and if you feel free or you want at the end of the conference to give your contact or in an email or something like that, it would be great.
No problem. Yeah, I'd like to be in contact with the participants.
Okay, so if you want to write the email, I don't know, maybe I think that you can find them over LinkedIn too. But yes,
I'm
feel
going
free
to
to
write
share.
my email in the chat.
Okay, thank you. So while we have listened to out of our 4 speakers, we are delighted to present you our third speaker, which is Jingqi Xiao. She's a machine learning engineering intern at Bombardier. She's currently in Canada. So we are really glad that she could come. Yes,
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. She was a master student of finance and data science at HEC Montreal, with a vast work experience in finance analysis and data science. So feel free to start whenever you want.
Thank you, Paula. Actually, the comment that you made to Chen is really good connection to the topic that I'm gonna present. So thank you so much. And also thanks a lot for Paloma and Chen. I felt really inspired and have lots of thoughts after hearing your story. And personally, I really like having this kind of intercultural a chat. And sorry, before that, a good afternoon or good morning, good evening. Correct me if I pronounce wrong, because I just learned how to from my roommate yesterday. Buenas tardes. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So thank you. Yes, as I say that I really enjoy this intercultural things, and I'm currently living with my roommates, and they are one of them is from Colombia and another is from France. So sometimes we even play a game, putting tags on the objects in our living room, in Spanish, in French, in English, to study each other's language. So yes, going back to the topic that I'd like to talk today, I would say that compared to the previous presenter, I would say I'm much limited experience because I'm still haven't really stepped into the job market. But I am still really happy to share the thoughts and that what I observe in my work and study in terms of the topic about are we losing our work-life balance? So before that, I wonder if I can share my screen because I have some slide also.
Yes, I have to give you permission, but now I know how, so don't worry.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you have.
Yes, I see it. Sure. Just one moment. Sorry, I think I am losing control to this one. Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So today the topic I'm like to share with you guys is about our women losing the work-life balance. It's something that I am thinking of from my observations in my study and works. So let's give a head up to what my life looks like so far. So I was born in China, in the south end of the China, which is a really pretty cute island. So here I'm gonna make a advertisement. If you want to travel to China one day, please do come to this island. I'm pretty sure you'll like this tropical island, very cute with beach around you. The time you spend in this island. By the time of 2015, I started to go to the university in Beijing. And during that time, I got totally 3 summer jobs. And in the middle, I also exchanged to France for half year. And at that point, after I finished the exchange, I felt like I really like this cultural difference. Sometimes it could be cultural shock, but I was enjoying to learn different culture, that the feeling that it gives me that, wow, we can be so different, but sometimes we have the connection. And at that point, I decided to pursue my master outside of China in order to, because at that point I thought probably doing a master would be my last, is something that at the end of my study of my life. So I wanted to do something different. But going back to the summer job, so in my university, I did in total 3 summer jobs. The first one is more about accounting. And the second one, I was working in a security company, mainly doing underwriting and helping them to issue new convertible bonds. But sometimes you can hear people in the financial industry saying that when you are looking for a job in the financial market, usually people will look at, firstly, if you're a guy study in finance. And then second is if you're a guy study in accounting. After that, it then comes to girls study in finance, then study in accounting. So it seems like that we are not treating well or equally in the financial job market. But from my personal experience, I didn't feel that obvious, especially in my third job in the Volkswagen, where I had a really, really good leader. She is a female, and she got this team lead position in relatively young age. I mean, compared to the importance of this position. When I stayed in Volkswagen, I feel in my team or the company as treating every employee so equally. I don't feel too much the hierarchical things that around me that you have to report formatly to your boss. And if you want to raise any issue, you can go directly to the right person. And I learned a lot from them, and they are so enthusiastic to teach what they have to me. Talking about my team leader, I can feel she is very dedicated to her job, but also she's willing to devote time to her hobbies, her enjoyment. Every time I went to the company in the morning, I could check from the email box that she was still working every day until late in the evening at night, but she insisted to go to do her yoga club before coming to the company. And that's really deterministic. I mean, with a lot of willpower. But there's something that I felt, that I observed from her, is that it seems she is not getting married. She lives alone, and not since like she doesn't plan to have a family or children. So it kind of make me think of another saying about when you see a female in an important position, you could have a pretty good chance to see she's single, not getting married, not having children. It seems like she's getting the same level of men by sacrificing something. This also bring me some questions that I was wondering whether we have to make a sacrifice in exchange for a success in the career we want to achieve. I have this question as a lot of people, like any one of you right now, because some of us are in a pretty much same age. So I have this question, and I took this question with myself, and I applied for the university in Montreal, Canada. And now I am study in HEC Montréal as a master student in data science and business analytics. Also from the January of 2021, I study working as an intern in Bombardier, which is a very Quebec proud aerospace company. In there, I am doing currently data science and artificial intelligence, which is very popular in these years. About kinds of, probably you heard a bit about machine learning, artificial intelligence. There's one thing interesting I observed in my team is that I am the only girl in my team, and even in the team that I am collaborating with. So in this case, do you think we would consider it as something like sectoral segregation? Well, I like that that there's some themes of jobs that you can see under presentation of female in this kind of jobs. But I would say that I don't think so. I also talk about this topic with my roommate, who is a guy studying his PhD in construction engineering. He once gave me an example about his classmate, who is a girl, told him that in the middle of her studying in construction engineering, she found that her passion wasn't really aligned into doing construction. That's how she quit this major and went for another direction. So sometimes I would feel when we see the improportional of presentation of gender in certain kind of jobs, maybe there is inequality inside of this job. inside of this position, but maybe it could be because that we are interested in different things. So we have different pursuits, we have different passion to our career path. But then sometimes people say, maybe it's because we are setting the boundary of what a girl should do in their future, taking care more about family, being less ambitious to the career path. We got affected somehow silently. So for this question, I would say I don't know the answer. I'm still the one who is looking for the answer. But if we go back to talking about work-life balance for a female, you will see that it seems that we do contribute more time to taking care of our family and doing housework. And it seems like the society expects us to be playing harder in a maternal role. I would say yes, but does it necessarily mean that we have to give up our pursuing of our career that we are passionate to? So to answer this question, or to talk more about this question, I would like to give some examples from my experience staying in Montreal. When I have classes in HEC, I was surprised by there are so many people, including lots of women, coming back to do their master, to do their PhD, like what Chan Chan say about she wanted to do PhD. They are coming back to the school and taking class in their middle age. And I was so surprised that I even had a classmate, a lady, who studied at the same major as I do, but she looks like she is at the age of my grandma. So at that point, when I saw her, I was like, wow, that's really a top lady, like who is studying some major that is heavy mathematics. I can imagine how difficult for her to have this degree in this age. And I find her sometimes really feel struggle in the class, but she's still willing to do that. Maybe she's retired now, but she probably take this degree as her interest, as her hobby, something that she wants to pursue. So, and I feel if I put this example in China, I feel I wouldn't see that like people coming back to school as frequent as what I observe here in China. So it begins to make me think of. Also, when I just arrived at Montreal, I stayed with the host family, and the mother in my host family was from Dominican Republic. She was married a Canadian guy, her current husband. So by the age of 19, she arrived alone in Montreal to meet her husband. But by that time, she could only speak Spanish. She couldn't speak French or English at all. But in the airport, you could feel that how nervous she was to get into a new environment where she couldn't speak the language that people speak. But at the airport, there was a generous gentleman helping her out to get out of the airport, telling her that the first thing you needed to do in Montreal is to study the language, studying French, and getting yourself into the society, get yourself a job. And by now, she already had her 2 university degree when she was carrying her children. So, and last year, she decided to go back to the university, to go back to night school, studying immigration consultant, because she decided to change her career to pursue the consultant job in the future, and she make a really kind of like ambitious step forward in her career. I mean, we can imagine that he made up her mind by lots of thoughts, because she's now in her middle age. She had children, she had family, and it's hard for a person at this age to make the decision to change the career. But she did it, and she successfully passed the exam. So what I want to say from these examples is that indeed we will find sometimes we are expected to take more responsibility on taking care of family, and maybe we will sacrifice sometimes from our career to lean more to family. But I would say that it's not necessary to give up our chances for pursuing our career. I mean, even if in the future I will have my family, I will have things that get me distracted from my career, from my study, I will still try my best to feed those my goal, my pursuit in my roadmap, because because I felt maybe we are uncertain about, well, can I really do this? Will I really accomplish or achieve the goal that I want? It's something is so uncertain, and I have lots of different responsibilities that distract me. Sorry, just let me put the battery on. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. But it is something like the uncertainty could be beautiful. You don't know what things will look like in the future, and you will only know it when you start doing it. And when you start doing it, you will have the motivation to organize them, even if you need to squeeze your time. But I would say I'm still willing to do that. Maybe at some point I will go back to the university for my PhD in the future when I have my family. But I feel you would deserve. It's like, I mean, it's like building a puzzle when for our life, when we put those puzzle pieces by pieces, and it's a process that takes time. But at the end, when we look back to what we have achieved, we are like, wow, we did a good job. And here is our entire complete picture of our life. Then we will feel, well, we are proud of ourselves. So what I want to say here is, yes, making a work-life balance may be difficult for a female, for women, but I will still, and maybe we will still take the chance to try, just like what Chen Chen and Paloma says, that if we don't try, we never know what's gonna happen. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Xingjia. So there were like a really good presentation too, and really good illustrative examples, and really glad that you can talk also in the presentation. So maybe if you have questions, like we can ask them at the end, or if you have any, like feel free to raise your hand and we will give you the word. Okay, but in the meantime, we will like put you a video that's from the fourth speaker, and it's in Spanish. Sorry for the ones that don't know Spanish, but it turns out that the speaker sent us in Spanish and we just saw it. And she is his name is Juan Lin. She was a former Chinese lawyer that worked from the government of China, and now she is a Chinese teacher. She changed also her career. So if you have any questions, like, we will provide also her contact, and you could ask her any question that you want. So I'm going to share, and then you told me if you can see it or not.
Chicos, me llamo Juan.
Could you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect.
But it seems like we cannot hear that quite clearly.
Paula,
See.
we cannot hear it very clearly. It's like very, not very loud.
One moment. Ahora? Lois, could you listen?
Maybe, have you shared before sharing? You have the option in Zoom to put like compartir audio.
Oh my God.
Have you done it? It's very easy. When you go to compartir pantalla, then there's.
Maybe if I share like the video with you and you could like.
Okay,
post
but I
it.
think that you cannot see Zoom things. But yes, let's try.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience, but I don't have like any master in that. Okay.
Don't worry, direct problems from.
Yeah, technical problems.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
So
Patreon, and then I like send you to, because I don't know how to.
Paula, es when you go, pica compartir pantalla y antes de seleccionar el vídeo, ves a compartir sonido que está debajo a la izquierda. ¿Lo ves?
No, me dice los participantes. Compartir pantalla.
Sí, pica
Compartir
lo que-
sonido, ok.
Sí, ahí, ya está.
A ver, let's try it again. Could you listen?
Buenos días, chicos.
Yes,
Me
no.
llamo Juan Lin. Estoy muy contenta de
Perfect.
participar en la actividad Chinese Female Leader. Hoy vamos a hablar del estado de las mujeres chinas en la sociedad. El estado de la mujer china en la sociedad tiene una larga historia. Durante la época Chunqiu tuvieron relativa libertad en términos de matrimonio, trabajo u otros aspectos. Aunque la dinastía Tang todavía era una sociedad patriarcal, el estado de las mujeres era mucho más alto que otras dinastías. Cuando Wu Zetian se proclamó emperadora, empezó la época de maquillaje rojo. Y el estado de las mujeres chinas alcanzó un nivel sin precedentes. En la dinastía Ming y Qing, la autocracia imperial continuó fortaleciéndose y alcanzó su punto máximo en la dinastía Qing. La operación de las mujeres alcanzó un nivel sin precedentes y es punto más bajo en la historia de los estados de la mujer china. En la República China, la conciencia de las mujeres sobre los derechos se despertó y comenzaron a cortarse el pelo, ir a la escuela, enamorarse libremente y participar en la vida social y política, y buscando la felicidad y la libertad personal. En la República Popular China, la ley de matrimonio, la ley electoral, la Constitución y otras leyes y reglamentos estipulan claramente los diversos derechos, obligaciones e intereses de la mujer. Las mujeres han obtenido los mismos derechos sociales que los hombres y participan en la gestión de los asuntos estatales. Cada vez más mujeres ingresan en industria tecnológica y el sector de conocimientos intensivos. En la actualidad, hay más de 21 millones de trabajadoras científicas y tecnológicas en China, lo que representa aproximadamente el 40% del total de los recursos humanos científicos y tecnológicos nacionales, al mismo tiempo que también está en el campo de funcionarias. Por ejemplo, Hua Chunyin, portavoz del Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores, fue nombrada una de las 10 mujeres más conocidas en 2019. Y Fu Chunyin, que viene de Mongolia Interior, actualmente decana honoraria del Instituto de Comercio Internacional de Inteligencia Artificial de Universidad de Tsinghua, y también es la primera embajadora de minoría de etnia de China. Hoy, en el siglo XXI, las mujeres han logrado resultados impresionantes en China y mostrando al mundo la sabiduría de las mujeres.
Okay, that was all. Sorry for the inconvenience and the language part, but that was like the end of our presentations. Like, we are really glad that the four of you could speak up and could bring your experience, personal and professional. And now we open the floor to any people who want to like bring some questions or some comments. Like, feel free. If there are none, no worry. Yeah.
Hi everyone. At the end. So actually, I am surprised by the discussion and conversation we had today. It really gave me a different point of view and a different version to see. And I'm very glad to see that all this Chinese female and leadership and the femininity is really impressive. And then I have to introduce myself. I'm Shiki, and I'm not coming from ASET. I'm coming from the neighbor institute that I'm coming from, IED. But my friend is also studying MBA in ASET. That's why I got the invitation. But I found it's very helpful, and thank you all for your kindly sharing.
Thank you, Shiki. And now we will like give the floor to Yara that wants to ask a question or information.
I wanted to ask if anyone of the opponents can say maybe an example of a woman that inspired them to like choose the professional path they did, and if they think that there is like a lack of a woman's presence here in Spain.
So any one of the speakers will want to start, or I don't know.
So for example, like in my case, because when I was a teenager, there were no like people that were Spanish Chinese, like Chinese with a Spanish background or something like that. Only, I don't know, like really, I mean, people that were maybe in television, like Woo Sung-yoon. I mean, she was not even Chinese, you know, like she was Korean. But for me, it was like an Asian woman on television. But for example, on secondary school, on high school, I discovered the comic books of Guan Zhou. She's the author of a comic that is called Gazpacho Agridulce, and basically in her comics, like she mixes, like, you know, Gazpacho and Agridulce is like she mixes a lot of cultural elements of China and Spain, and talk about her experiences. So for me, she really inspired me to continue with my projects. And then also there is another journalist, because in my case it was, okay, I don't know which women journalists that inspire me. So for example, there is one that is Susanna Ye. She's also very known for a documentary that she made that is in free on YouTube. I can share the link also in the chat. It's called Chiñoles y Bananas. Is also very well known about the Chinese the Chinese community here in Spain, and yeah, they're really inspiring.
I also want to share my story, because I think the first female figure that really inspires me in my life is my mother, because I lost my father because of he had cancer when I was 16. So I'm a single child, and my mom was taking care of my father alone, and I was studying. I studied my university when I was 16, far away from my hometown in Tianjin. So my mom was taking care of my father until he passed away, and I was studying in the university. So I didn't even know that my father had cancer. So making the story short is that my mother was carrying all this pain and all this suffering herself, and she still supports me to study abroad, because after that my father died, and she has to support financially everything by her own. And China doesn't have such a good health system as Spanish society has. Yeah, here Spanish people are really lucky because we have a very good health system. But in China, if you have big disease like cancer, basically your family is ruined. So my mom was taking care of everything. Why I started to work and be entrepreneur so early also, it's because I saw how my mom was fighting and supporting me along. So I started to, I paid my university, I paid my MBA. I did a lot of financial kind of taking some risk and investment when I was very young. So all because of seeing my mom as an example. And I just want to, just add to Paula's earlier point, is that no matter what's your age, you should pursue your dream. But there's a fact, is the age factor is important, is that if you start to take risk when you are younger, you have a higher chance that you are still do risky choices when you are older. But if you are very young and you never take risky kind of decisions, it's very difficult you start to take risk when you pass your middle age, and that's statistical proven. So again, I want to say that because I did everything, as I said, doing a business consultant after 2008, and I quit my very well paid job to be a entrepreneur when I was 24 in 2011, and then stopped my own company at the age of 30 just to do the PhD. I did a lot of seemingly crazy decisions in different time, but financially I managed to make a smooth transition, and I don't rely on family support, just do everything by myself. So if it's your situation, and if it's any situation of yours, because I know most of you are still in BBA, try to make it very reasonable, and try to take some risk when you are at an early stage. Do it, because sometimes it seems like something super huge when you are 22, 24, and after 2 years, it's nothing. I'm not saying that jump into the pool without taking into consideration of the consequences. Despite, apart from my mother, I think one of the female leader who really inspired me a lot is Angela Merkel, the German chancellor. I really admired her because she's honest, she's calm, and she has been in power for 15 years. And, she's in a very top position. And I think thanks to her, we have a very we still have a unified European Union, and some difficult, decisions are, being going through. And very sad this year is her last year. So I wish there are more female leaders like her, so calm, so professional. Women leader, we have compassion, we have emotional intelligence, and we know how to balance between different, areas in life. So I wish we have more powerful, calm, honest female leader like her in our life. Okay, that's it. That's my intervention. Thank you.
Thank you, really. I don't know if Cynthia wants to make her point, or
For me, I would say that I don't have a very specific female role model. If I would have to say it, I would say as well as it's my mom, because she grew up in a village. Well, in China, maybe this concept of village is not quite the same in Europe or North America, because you can see it's really like they are poor. By the time when my mom was young, she has 5 siblings, but she was lucky because she was the second to last youngest girl in the family. So she got chance to finish her elementary school. But by the time she was studying in secondary school, her parents couldn't afford the tuition fee anymore. And but my mom was very intelligent and hardworking. So one day her teacher came to the home of my mom, talking to the parents of my mom, saying, you have to let your child to go back to the school. I can pay for her. And that's how my mom, after drop out the secondary school for 1 year and go back to the school again. But because she already wasted 1 year, so she had to use 2 years to study something that people need to use 3 years to finish. But then she made it, and she got a good grade by using 2 years to study, and she got the admission in a university. And by that time, it was something amazing, and you wouldn't have too much chance to hear a child in the village could have a university, and especially this university is located in Beijing. It's a big city, the capital of China. So at that point, the residents, the neighbors of my mom got really surprised and all came to her home to ask her parents, oh wow, where how did you do that? Because in China we believe in feng shui, so they asked, oh, where did you put the cemeteries of your of the people pass by in the village. so by now, I still feel like my mom gave me a lot of freedom to choose things, and she had the tendencies to let me choose by myself, even if maybe this decision is wrong. But she's willing to let me take risk to make my own decision and make myself to take the responsibility for the road I choose. And that's why I come abroad to study, and I'm doing internship, make a living for my own. And it's also, I feel thankful for my mom to give me such great freedoms and let me choose. So I would say my mom is is my role model and someone that I am admired of. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your story too. And just let's move on to the next question from Yi Yuan.
Hello, thank you, Paula. So first and foremost, thank you for your presentations, for your magnificent presentations. They are all truly, really inspirational, both for women and for men. Now, so my question is, if you had to describe yourself with just one word, what will it be? For example, for me, it will be curiosity, because I've always considered myself a curious person. Maybe that's the reason for I've been doing scientific. I've been doing science in my high school, and now I've changed to the business field in ESADE. So yes, that's my question. Thank you.
So any of the speakers would like to start?
Okay, so I will say that I'm really open. I think I will try that word because yeah, and yeah, how to explain this? Yeah, I really like to hear the stories of other people and to understand them, and also as yourself, like all the time trying to learn new things, to discover new things, and I'm really open to a lot of things. Yeah, that makes life more exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, continue, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So in my case, okay, I would say the first word come out of my mind when you were asking the question is perseverance, perseverancia, 坚持. Because I think I have been very committed and perseverant with all the life goals in my life, and I have been very responsible with that, which is very difficult sometimes. Perseverance is the word, but if you ask me to use a word to describe me as a professional, I would use the word bridge, puente, 桥. Why? Because I really think like my lifelong like purpose, propósito in the life is being a bridge between East and West, like the name of the company, of my own company. Because the purpose of being a business person is not to make money. Making money is just an instrument, but it's the function that my work do for the society. Is being a bridge, make understanding between different cultures, especially now in this pandemic time, to make understanding between different culture and different people, to make bridges rather than make isolation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I feel like I have lots of in common with Chen Chen. The first word I was thinking about is also persistence, similar to that, because I feel sometimes I'm a kind of stubborn person, that when I want to do something, that I have to do it until I anymore. But if it's something that I don't want to do, I would try in every resort to reject doing that. But if it's something that I want to do, I want to do it perfectly. For example, when we are doing projects in a university, when my team members say, "Oh, I think it's okay. Oh, we just handed this report to the professor and that's it." I would say, "No. it's there's lots of space that we can improve and we can do better. Sometimes I feel I am when I find something that I'm passionate to, I really like to stick to that until the time that I feel less interesting, until the time that I want to stop. And yes, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your answer. There were like really the speeches, the answers, the communication was really fluent, and I think that we all enjoy it. I don't know if there are more questions. If not, like I think that we could like end the conference here. I thank you again for your presence here today, for your experience, and hope that we can meet someday in the future, or maybe not. I don't know. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. It's nice meeting you.